So what it started out as a rumor last week turns out to be true. Honda and Nissan merger appears to be on as they started official talks today. And basically, right now, I guess the talks are so advanced that they're going to sign a definitive agreement in June. Again, this is the Honda Nissan merger. And then by the end of this year or early next year, they'll complete the merger. There's even more craziness, which I didn't even know this was in this stuff was on the table so fast. Now Mitsubishi may end up joining the group, so you'll have Nissan, Honda, and Mitsubishi being all one company. I know it's crazy. And then the reason why it takes so long to do a merger, essentially talking about a year, is you're going to have companies that come together, which offices are going to stay open, which are going to close down, which roles in the company are going to be overlapping. So therefore, you have to let people go. Meaning like you don't need two sets of accountants, two sets of marketing, two sets of R&D, etc. There's been talk that Foxconn wants to get involved with this to manufacture these things. We'll see going forward like what the end result is. But I want to have a chat with you because I think this is actually the trend happening, not in this case Japan, but all around the world globally. And want to help you guys understand, sort of connect the dots as an investor, as a consumer, and just as a world citizen. I'll start with this. When I left the country for the first time, and I'm talking about from USA, and I actually went to Shanghai first, that's in China. I didn't know that a lot of brands in the USA are all the same. I had no idea. And I'll give you an example. So this is a chart here, and there's lots of these kind of charts you can find. But I think this was a pretty good one. It says 10 companies control more than 50 brands. And here we're talking about food. And some of you may not know this because I didn't even know some of this stuff. So for example, in this example, Sun Capital, I guess Johnny Rockets, Boston Market, Bar, Louie, and Smoky Bones are all the same. I'm not familiar with Smoky Bones or Bar Louie, but I definitely know Boston Market and Johnny Rockets. I know what those are. Or Yum Brands, right? They got Pizza Hut and Taco Bell are the same, and I think they have a bunch of other brands under their umbrella. Brinkler International, that'd be like Maggiano's. I'm not as familiar with that one. Restaurant brands international, so Popeyes and Burger King are kind of the same brand, not kind of, but they are the same. Blooming Brands, so that would be sort of more your dining ones. I want to go over this because it's important to understand how the world is constructed. So that's like your Bonefish Grill, Outback, Fleming's. I'm not sure if Olive Gardens and Blooming Brands. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe not, but there might be. I just don't know. It's hard to keep track of this stuff. Golden Gate Capital, so that's California Pizza Kitchen, Red Lobster, Bob Evans Farms. Those are all same conglomerate. You got Rourke Capital, and so then they split off into, I guess, two different brands, Inspire Brands and Focus Brands. So that on Inspire side, and it's always interesting to look at this stuff. If you guys didn't know this, like these are all same companies. Sonic, Buffalo Wings, Wild Wings, Rusty, Taco, and Arby's are all the same. And then on the Focus side, you got Jamba Juice, Seattle's Best Coffee, Cinnabon, Auntie Anne's, Carvel, and Moe's. And I don't know what Moe's is. I just don't know. I definitely know Cinnabon, Seattle's Best, Auntie Anne's, and Zamba. But I mean, you guys get where this is going, right? Look at all these companies that are together, and let's just keep going through it. It's crazy when you actually look at this. Jab Holding Company, so that combines Krispy Kreme, Pete's, Pret, Panera Bread, Einstein Noah, Einstein Brothers, Caribou Coffee. Like, so again, all these kinds are kind of all together. And then you got Darden, which includes, okay, there's Olive Garden. So Olive Garden's Darden. I can't keep track of it. Darden is Olive Garden, Bahama Breeze, Capital Grill, Eddie, Seasons, Longhorn, Steakhouse, Yard House, etc. And then I think this should be a Filipino company. You guys can let me know if I'm wrong. So because Jollibee, Chowking, and Smashburger. So I'm pretty sure Jollibee is Filipino, but I could be totally wrong in that. I could be totally wrong. And I remember Jollibee, I just saw them opening up in LA. I saw them for the first time when I was in the Philippines. But anyway, I'm pointing this stuff up together because this is a global phenomenon. So it's, when you have Honda and Nissan joining, forming a super company, I guess you could call it. Then you have, say the restaurant companies are kind of the same. Here in Korea, the talk recently has been, or I'll give you another example. Here in Korea, Korea Air acquired Asiana Air. We're talking about airlines, and those are our two big national carriers and essentially going to be becoming one. And then I guess in order to fight back, the talk now is the smaller regional carriers are all going to join and form another company. So that's going to be like your, I guess, Jeju, T-Way, E-Star Air, Busan. I'm in Busan, so there's been a lot of controversy of what's going to happen to Busan Air. And then E-Star Jet, actually, true story. I know the CEO. He went to my school. Met him one time at a dinner, and it's kind of interesting, like how small the world is. And essentially, in these kind of mergers, it's always the same. Like who's going to get what control, who's going to lose their job, who's going to have what board seats, and where's the money going to be passed around. But ultimately, though, that's sort of where the world is going. And I guess the arguments that they will make in these kind of situations is we have to merge because the other side merged, and we also have to merge because it'll be theoretically more efficient. So I always question this kind of stuff, but this is where our world's going now. With say Elon Musk and Vivek, like I'll show you guys this here. You can see, are they going to cut our Social Security and Medicare, and are they going to slash all of the government, etc. They always say, hey, all these regulations and all these government agencies just hold back innovation. I always laugh at that because I just think it's pretty ludicrous. For me, it's like you want these government agencies in place to basically stop super monopolies from controlling the whole world. But that's where we're at. These mega corporations. Now it's not, I'll say, unusual around the world. In Asia, so in Japan, the word is zaibatsu. It's long history of basically mega corporations. Here in Korea, we refer to this as the chaebol. And if you don't know, the joke here in Korea, I say referring to Samsung, is you can be born in a Samsung hospital, live in a Samsung house, drive around a Samsung car, have a Samsung refrigerator, Samsung TV. You can go then to a Samsung school, work for Samsung, right? Go to the Samsung hospital when you get sick. You can even, get married in the Samsung wedding hall, die in the Samsung, funeral home, etc. Right? And it really is that crazy. And over here, there's just a few brands that control everything. If you don't know, like Hyundai, we go to the Hyundai department store, right? You may not know that they have a department store, and they got a whole bunch of brands in Hyundai, etc. Same with LG or whatever. The point being though is that when Elon Musk and Vivek are talking about slashing regulations, I just see this as consolidation of power. If you want to use the word oligarch, you can totally use that word. I think it's perfectly fitting. But it's a consolidation of power among few people. That's why I showed you guys the restaurant brands, talking about Honda, a Nissan merger, and then the airline mergers here in Korea, and etc. And then you also even have this, which is even more crazy. The situation where Elon Musk's mom goes on TV and says, "Hey, my son's a good boy. He's not taking any pay. He's just volunteering to help out the world. We just want to help out the world and get rid of regulations so big companies can all merge together and not have any regulations, because regulations just get in the way of those big companies doing the best for the world." Being sarcastic, of course. But the crazy thing about it is, I don't know. They convince you, these basically mega big companies, billionaires. They convince, maybe not you watching my channel, but you, meaning the people who follow this cult stuff of the Musks or whatever, or the Trumpies, that having all this power in just a few hands is a good thing for you. And I think it should be clear that it's not. As a consumer, less choice I don't consider to be a good thing. As an investor, and I'll be honest with you, the arguments that they'll make is, hey, if we only have one grocery store in the world and one grocery company that controls all your food, and one car company that controls all your transportation, and one airline company controls all your planes, etc., then they can be more efficient, right? Because we can eliminate all of these rules of competition, and competition just hurts everybody. I guess that's the arguments that they'll make. And again, I'm making jokes because I think there's something to be said for having more than one company in the world, for having competition that sort of keeps companies innovating, because they have to compete with their competitor in order to remain viable in the market. If we lived in a world where, say, with phones, that there's only one choice of Apple, and there was no Samsung, and there was no, I guess, I'm trying to think of a Chinese name of character, like OnePlus is one, or Xiaomi. There's probably other ones. My mind is blanking right now, or Nokia. I know Nokia is not Chinese, but other types of brands out there. Does Nokia even exist anymore? I might be getting old. Motorola, okay, I think they still exist. And it's funny now we're talking about this, like this kind of stuff, to where yes, companies do come and go, because nothing's guaranteed. So I don't mean to say that we have to have competition just for the sake of competition. If a company fails in an open free market, hey, by all means, that's part of the game. But I guess sort of where we're going right now, which I don't like, and I just want to warn you about, where markets aren't free, anything but, where it's one company buys so much government influence that they can basically do anything that they want. So there's that. And going forward into 2025, and first I just give you the view of the consumer and just the world citizen of sort of what's happening. Then as an investor, and this is sort of where you have to put on both hats if you want to be successful in today's world, and this is just the reality of it. You definitely do want to be on the winning team, and winning, we'll define this in different ways. So if you are, say, a holder of whatever stock, and your company gets bought out for X amount of dollars, there's going to be a lot of money flying around this year in 2025, which I do think that's what the rumor mill is saying, that Trump's going to open up the gateway to crazy mergers and acquisitions. We may see a whole bunch of stuff. So there'll be a bunch of stuff like that, buyout rumors. And do be careful out there, and we'll cover on the channel as rumors come out. But these things do move very, very fast. The other thing that's going to be going on is the companies will say, look at our new profits, how awesome we're going to be going forward. But the result of this is going to be a lot of job losses, right? Because companies will, quote, become, quote, more efficient. I say, quote, who knows? I mean, it's that's hard to say until it actually goes into effect. And then also too, when you have less competition, again, they have less, need to be innovative. I think sometimes these temporary profit boosts, will say, when you cut a bunch of staff, may end up biting you in the long run. But we'll see how those efficiencies work out. The other issue as well is the rise of Chinese companies. It seems a lot of people are under pressure. Like that's one-sided for the Japanese situation, with the Honda Nissan thing. But one thing I do want to mention, though, which gets left out so much in American news, or we call it Western media, if we want to call it. You guys don't really talk about Korean companies that much, which I always find fascinating. Because I'll just tell you this, just in terms of, say, cars, and there's lots of other technologies, or we can talk about phones or whatever, TVs. I mean, don't discount the Korean companies. I'm telling you guys, Hyundai and Kia are real companies. They make real products. I see them here all the time in Korea, and the Koreans have really taken over. Let's use example, the TV or display. Display is not a better way to say it. Market, whether it be your Samsung or LG. I mean, it used to be Japan used to make really good products, be it computers, phones, etc. But these days they're really falling behind. I think Toyota cars are still actually really quite good. So are Hondas. I actually really like Nissan, to be fairly frank. I've driven these things. I like the Nissan. So I was really surprised that they were failing, but I guess it's because margins are so tight these days, because you're dealing with the situation in China. And part of what makes it really difficult, and this is not a good situation for the world, when we go into competition with companies, say, in China, where they have a different set of standards for how they treat their workers, in order to compete, are we going to go into a world to where essentially the big companies all treat their workers the same way they will treat workers in China, or the same way that Elon Musk treats workers, for example? Because Musk always brags and boasts and brags, that's the right word to say, or gushes, and like word to say it, of like how, quote, hardworking the Chinese worker is. And I use quotes there because, guys, I used to live in China, and I know just regular people on the ground. No one wants to work like 6 days a week, 9 hours a day, all the time for the rest of your life. I mean, do you want to do that? Do you want to work 6 days a week, 9 hours a day? And the reason why you do that, say, for example, a place like China, is because you're easily replaced, right? The population's so large, there's enough people always looking for work, you're easily replaced, and so you can always suppress wages that way. In the USA, it's a different system. We have a lot more worker protections, these kind of things. But it is a complicated issue because, if you want to compete for profits, I mean, are we forced to go into that route to where there's just a few companies that control everything, and there's only a limited amount of places to work, and if you get blackballed at whatever big company, then you're kind of screwed, and then that's the oligarchy world. And then the other issue is as well. I used to live in Vietnam, where it becomes like really obvious that there's only one company that owns everything, and in that situation, it'd be Vin Group. If you guys ever lived there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like there's Vin Grocery Store and Vin Cars and Vin Tower, which is kind of like the skyscrapers over there, etc. And they own everything, and I think that's the way that we're going. And from the investor standpoint, yeah, there's going to be opportunities out there, but I think there's real dangers out there, in terms of consumer and just a healthy free market. So just wanted to share some thoughts on that. It's something I was thinking about, and I know a lot of people are going to be focused on just the merger of Nissan and Honda, but I want you to have a more global perspective on this is a worldwide phenomenon, to where all the power is consolidating to just a few hands. And I personally don't like the way that this is going, but that's just my opinion. Other people may have differing thoughts, and some people they love the billionaires and want just a few people to control everything. I always find that strange myself, people who fall in that camp, but it is widely prevalent on YouTube. Either the billionaires are paying those people to say that, or people generally believe it. Who knows? So please share your thoughts in this one, and I'll catch you in the next video.